Hi there. I'm here to talk to you about Zach's informal assessment that I gave him. Zach's weakest area seems to be math. So I decided that I was going to assess him in the area of multi digit multiplication, a 3 digit by 2 digit number. This is actually one of Zachary's objectives in his IEP, so I thought it would be relevant, and it went along with his evaluation data um, as far as um, multi-step problems being confusing for him not being able to break down the numbers and multiply them. So what I did was I just created a page of 9 problems that were three digit by 2 digit multiplication. I put it on grid paper because I felt like I didn't want him to make any mistakes. I know when kids multiply bigger numbers, a lot of times they will maybe what I've seen is like they'll slant their numbers, and then they're all messed up when they go to add them, and then that's where their mistake is. So I really wanted to get a clear picture of where Zach was as far as his skills in multiplication, and then his math operation skills. So I went to the junior high school, and we were able to use a resource classroom. And so we went into the resource classroom, and I told Zach what we were going to be doing. We talked a little bit about football because he is a former student of mine, and I know football is his passion. And so we talked a little bit about how his season's been going. And then we got right into it. So I told him what we were going to be doing, what I needed him to do. I just explained to him, just what this is. It's multiplication, and regroup if you need to. So we started working his problems, and immediately I was able to see what he was doing. He has pretty good fact fluency. I mean, there were a few like 8 times 9 and 8 times 8 and um, 6 times 4. Those he didn't struggle with them really, but it just took him a little bit. It just wasn't as quick as maybe his 3 times 4 or his 5 times 4. But he did know them. He didn't use a multiplication chart or anything. He strictly did it from memory. So, but immediately I saw he was multiplying. So if we're talking about the top number and the bottom number, he would multiply the ones place in the bottom number and multiply that by every number on the top. Then he would move over to the tens place, the number at the bottom, the tens place, and he would multiply it by only the digit in the ones place on the top number, and then he would stop. So he wasn't completing the process. But I didn't stop him. I just let him go through that and let him work those problems out. And so I quickly saw that this was a good assessment for him. It correlates with his evaluation data as far as needing to maybe decompose those numbers and break them down a little bit to be able to make sure that we're multiplying every digit on the bottom by every digit on the top. And then I also noticed that I probably didn't need to give Zach that many problems. I gave him 9 problems, and that was probably too many. But so if I were to go back, that is one thing that I would change. I would definitely only give him maybe 5 problems. I think that would be sufficient in assessing him. So, but he came in the classroom. He worked hard. We had no behavior issues at all. Zach is a sweet boy. He immediately got to work. He sat there. At one point, he did say, "Am I doing this right?" And I said, "You're doing fine. Just do your best." And because I didn't want it to be skewed at all. So And he did ask if he could use a multiplication chart. And I told him not for this particular assessment because I really want to see if I wanted to see if he knew his multiplication. So, but we had no issues behavior wise at all. He was perfect. He came in, we talked a little bit, he did the assessment, and no distractions at all. He just did his work. He was very compliant. And then I took him back to class. I walked him back to class. But definitely fact fluency is one of his strengths. We do need to work. I mean, I would suggest that his teacher or he work on that at home, just to get better at that and quicker at that. But for the most part, he knew all of his multiplication facts that were on this assessment. Weakness, just his operations. He's just not sure of the steps. It may be too much for him. It may be a little overwhelming. So some things I suggested to help would be maybe the area model, decomposing those numbers and breaking them down. And then that way he'll make sure that every number on the bottom is being multiplied by every number on the top. But it was a good evaluation, and it yielded the results. Well, I was a little surprised that he wasn't able to, that he stopped halfway. I thought we would have more problems with the multiplication rather than the process of the multiplication. But nonetheless, he did a great job, and that I think that won't be a hard fix for him. It's just learning that process and those steps. So, all right, that's all I got. Thank you.